Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the iSH Presents podcast. We're very excited to have Jim Hill from Eadon Consulting with us today. Eadon Consulting operate in a multitude of sectors, and we are in their Cockermouth facility today where they are developing brand new innovations for the nuclear industry and beyond. Welcome, Jim.
Hello, thank you.
This is very exciting for us because this is a bit of a iSH podcast first. You are the first company that we are interviewing who have been a relocator to Cumbria, who are expanding into West Cumbria in particular.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting for us. We see that as inward investment. It's a success story. Tell us a little bit about how that's come about.
So I suppose we've always been working in Cumbria for a number of years, and we've built up a number of relationships and worked with companies up here. And we could see there was a really good opportunity for us to grow those relationships even further and enhance them, whilst also giving us an opportunity to expand and grow the business. And it meant that we could see a real advantage of being able to come up and kind of expand what we do and bring some of what we do as a business into the area as well. So while not only kind of being able to use and work with people and those existing kind of skills and capabilities in the area, but also bring something new and something a bit different as well.
Brilliant. That's a great story. And give us a little bit more of a Eadon Consulting flavor of what it is you do.
What do we do? So as a business, I suppose what we do is it's working with clients to solve challenging problems. And what we find is we solve those problems across loads of different sectors, loads of different areas. And those problems vary in nature as well. So sometimes it's something really technical. Is there a really challenging technical problem or something that they can't do, which they need help with? So it could be that kind of thing. But equally, sometimes those challenges are actually things around they have something that they need to deliver in a really tight timescale. So can we think differently around how we approach the project and how we work with them to enable them to happen? So it's basically people come to us with problems and we find a way of helping them out.
And is it always engineering problems?
Mostly, I would say there is always an engineering thing to it, yes. And I think that is at the real heart of us as a business is we're a group of engineers, and you'll hear that probably today through and through from me. I am an engineer first, and everybody in the office is, and that is what kind of forms the basis of what we do. But it's taking that engineer kind of mindset and skill set and applying it to lots of different things.
And is that mostly kind of civil engineering, or is it mechanical or electrical, or is it all of those things?
So I would say as a business, a lot of what we do is kind of founded in mechanical,
Okay.
but because of the work we do, we end up touching a number of other disciplines. So we regularly have to, or are working with civil consultants. We're regularly working with structural people. We need to understand electronics and control. We work with hydraulics. So it's not only mechanical, there's a real breadth as well. And we have to touch and have on each of those different disciplines and have quite a good understanding of how they work and what they do as well.
So where did the business start from originally?
It started about 17 years ago. It was quite a tough economic climate at the time, and there was a group of us saw an opportunity for a consultancy that really put the engineering first and really kind of looked at wanting to be able to build strong relationships with clients. And it started off with just a few of us working from home, working from each other's front rooms, and we've just grown it from there.
And my understanding is it was originally mostly about bridges. Is that right?
No, it's always been, or I suppose as a business, we've always worked in a number of different areas doing different stuff. It's bridges is one area where effectively through Mike, one of the other directors, we have a really strong kind of international reputation and really kind of strong capability. But as an organization, we've always delivered that kind of breadth of work. We've never had one particular area of focus for us.
So when did you get into nuclear?
It was probably about 12 or 18 months after having set the business up that we didn't start in it. We knew that there was an opportunity. I had a bit of background in it as a sector from my previous work. But but effectively just grew from that. So started off doing a few simple calculations and things, and then the business and the opportunity has just kind of grown from there.
And what kind of things do you do in nuclear?
Oh, nuclear is an interesting one. We do all sorts of stuff. Everything from, so obviously we do things from kind of initial R&D, coming up with ideas. So we've got Reach System, which has been a complete R&D project. So coming up with an idea and pitching it and kind of developing it all the way through. We've done bits where we've designed and delivered an item of equipment. We've done detailed design of cranes and handling systems. And then over the last few years, we've also built up quite a lot of capability around helping clients who are to make what I would call almost a strategic decision. So deciding how they're going to do something or how they're going to decommission something, getting in really at the early stages and thinking through what their different options are. But the key thing for us in terms of that is underpinning those options with some really good engineering as well, kind of thing.
Absolutely. And you've shown me Reach. You've
Yeah.
mentioned it just now, and I was very impressed. It's obviously quite a novel concept of how a robotic arm can kind of navigate its way through a really complex and hazardous facility.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Reach and how it's different to what's already out there on the market?
So I suppose the thing with Reach is it's a modular system that's about deploying sensors and equipment into a cell. So the key thing for us in terms of it was we recognized people were coming up with different sensors, different ideas, but nobody was thinking about how you actually got them into the location they needed to be able to do their task.
Right.
And we wanted to come up with something that was agnostic of those sensors, say. So it was purely about deployment and it was purely about access. And then the other thing that we wanted to do with it was make it kind of easy to use so you could use it repeatably. So that meant that we went down this kind of modular approach. So what we've effectively built is a large scale modular robot arm that you can connect together in different ways. And we kind of talk about it as being kind of a Lego or Meccano of deployment systems to be able to get you wherever you want to go to within a cell.
And it's quite lightweight, but also resilient at the same time. Is that
So
right?
yeah, the key challenge with it is we constricted ourselves, or most access is through a 150 mil diameter port. So it was kind of going, right, whatever we do, it has to be able to fit through that kind of size of port, which means we've had to look at doing really novel and unusual things in terms of employing kind of carbon fiber composites, thinking about how we control it, thinking about how we package everything so that we can fit the kind of actuators and things within a space so that it's also easy to decontaminate and stuff like that. But ultimately, what we've ended up with is a system that can potentially deploy payloads of up to about 20 kilos, 10 meters into a cell, and move them off axis. And
That's
as
amazing.
far as we know, there isn't anybody out there at the minute that can do something like that.
So is Reach a game changers challenge? Because you do
Yeah.
participate in those
Yeah, so
challenges,
we've
don't you?
participated in Game Changers for a number of years, and it's been a really good program for us, and worked really well. And yeah, it started as a Game Changers challenge, and that's how we've kind of run it from there. So went through a kind of initial feasibility study, did a level of kind of proof of concept, which when we first did it, I'll be honest, some of it was about proving to ourselves that we thought it was actually possible to do what we thought we wanted to do. And then the phase that we've been working through up until now has been getting to develop the full system and kind of the full demonstration, be able to demonstrate the full kind of capability. And literally this morning, just starting to look at being able to work towards doing an active deployment as well. So getting it on site with a sensor, going and taking real measurements, which if we can achieve that, or when we achieve that, will be a really good milestone for us.
Fantastic. That's really exciting.
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we should say that Game Changers is a Sellafield challenge, innovation challenge program that you've participated in, and they
Absolutely.
regularly put out opportunities like challenge statements
Yeah.
for people to participate in.
And if nobody's ever looked at it, I would strongly recommend it. It's been a fantastic program for us. It's given us access into Sellafield that we wouldn't have had. We've been able to build relationships with people in Sellafield that we just wouldn't have had access to.
Right.
And then just the support from kind of the Game Changers side and FIS 360, just helping and guiding and nudging, giving us the friendly challenge when we need it has been really beneficial.
That's great to hear. And obviously, Eadon Consulting are a key core member of the Cumbria Robotics Cluster. FIS 360 are also a member of the Cumbria Robotics
Yeah.
Cluster. So it's great kind of family that brings everybody together, and you can all kind of interact and support each other in that way.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those relationships that was there, which encouraged us to come up into the area
Brilliant.
and be part of it. And you know, in terms of reach, we've got the software being done by Createch. You know, our
Yes.
office location in Cockermouth, deliberately chosen to be directly opposite them. It's meant kind of working with them's been really easy. It's a nice place to be.
It does seem like a little cluster of robotics specialists have kind of developed
Starting,
all in that Cockermouth area all of a sudden.
yeah, if that happened, that'd be amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's a really good opportunity there to kind of grow some really good capability, and that's certainly I suppose that's our plan for that office location, is starting to grow it and starting trying to recruit and get people in there. It's what we want to do. That's why we moved into the area.
Brilliant. And how are you finding it so far, being based in West Cumbria?
Amazing.
Oh, good. Great.
We really like it. So it's been really good for us. We've managed to, one of the reasons for coming is we knew that it opened up another kind of pool of people that we could recruit. And that's been really successful. So we've got Tom and Matt based in
That's
Cockermouth,
Mhm.
who are two really, really good engineers and really good kind of foundation to kind of build that office from. It's a really nice location. We didn't realize it when we kind of signed up to it, but having been there, I really enjoy coming up. It's a nice place to come up. It's a nice location to be in. Cockermouth is a lovely place. You can literally walk onto the high street for lunch. It's really good.
And where's your main base?
So main base is Sheffield, and
Mhm.
we're on the Advanced Manufacturing Park in Sheffield, and we've been there pretty much since we started the business.
Right.
So this is our kind of first foray into getting an office outside of Sheffield, but so far it's been a really big success.
Fantastic. So you working in nuclear, we know that you do work in bridges. What other sectors are you operating in?
So we work all over the place and doing all kinds of different stuff. So bridges, we've got quite a lot of expertise in that around kind of movable bridges, so the actual mechanical equipment and mechanisms for making bridges move. But we also do a lot of work in terms of access gantries and kind of underdeck access onto bridges.
Are there any that we might know of?
We've done a lot of work and currently are doing work on things like the Forth Road Bridge, Second Severn Crossing, things like that.
Excellent.
If you see a gantry on a bridge, it wouldn't surprise me if we've been involved with it.
Amazing.
We do quite a lot of work in terms of kind of flood defence, so things like canal gates, lock gates, impounding gates, water control type stuff. We do quite a bit in terms of ports and marine, so ro-ros. So we've done a lot of work down at Dover. In terms of that side of things, it's all sorts of stuff.
And I guess it's quite useful having that cross-sector insight and experience, because you can bring that from one sector to another and bring kind of innovative ideas that perhaps haven't been thought of in that sector before. Is that right?
Absolutely. And that, again, for us as a group of engineers, what we enjoy is that breadth. I think if we were only working in one sector, we'd get a bit bored. But by working across lots of different sectors, we get to see lots of different things. And it is very much, as you say, it's bringing that knowledge and experience and approaches from different areas and different sectors is where we really enjoy it. So literally a conversation I was having last week was around how we could take some of the ideas and experience that we have from bridge gantries and kind of bridge construction and apply it into the nuclear sector and use it to kind of help solve some fairly challenging problems that they've got.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I'm also aware that you do work internationally. So where are you working at?
Yeah,
in
so
other countries?
I'd say at the minute, most of the international work is around the kind of moving bridge side of stuff.
Okay.
So Mike, one of the other directors, has that kind of international reputation. So if there's a moving bridge project happening somewhere, it's not unusual for us to get a call and for Mike to get involved. And I mean, that has taken us Canada, New Zealand, and then the third place I can't think of because I can't remember. It's the place Bermuda.
Bermuda.
Bermuda as well, yes. So all over the place internationally in terms
Wow.
of bridges side of stuff. And then I suppose that's then the next one that we're now starting to look at is, can we take some of that kind of robotics and nuclear experience and start to look at that from an international market perspective as well? Because I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's so much need around the nuclear industry internationally, both on decommissioning, waste management, new build. All of it's just kind of booming at the moment.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, there's a real demand in the market there. So what would you say your most challenging projects are?
I, for me personally, reach has probably been one of the most challenging things I've done.
Okay.
Just from the perspective of, there's been a lot of technical challenges in there. There's been we've had to learn and develop new skills and capabilities that we haven't done before. I've had to learn a heck of a lot
Right.
in order to be able to do it. We've had quite a good team of people working on it. So how we kind of coordinate that team and work that team together, that's been a real challenge. And I suppose it's been a significant part of me and what I've done over the last few years.
So, and I understand that with Reach, you've had to work with quite a few other companies. So you mentioned Createch did some of the work, and there
Yeah.
was Core Nuclear Solutions involved
Yeah,
as well?
we've had Createch involved, we've had Core involved, we had a carbon fiber specialist called Carbon 360 involved. I'd say, working with Sellafield and the Sellafield team, it's very much been a team kind of effort and thought
Right.
process. It's not been Sellafield or a client and we're kind of a supplier. It's been a how do we do this together kind of approach.
Mm.
So it has been, everyone really working together towards that kind of end goal.
So one of the ish kind of principles is about encouraging collaboration, and it's what we want to achieve through our clusters. It's sort of all about
Yeah.
bringing you together to encourage you to network and then hopefully collaborate, innovate, and develop new opportunities to work together on other things and do things that you wouldn't have done before, perhaps, and grow the business in that way. Um, so how do you find the whole collaboration piece?
It's what we do. It's what
Okay.
we've always done as a business. No matter where we work or what we're doing, we're almost always having to partner with somebody or work with somebody. So for us, that collaboration piece, it's just our natural kind of day to day. We don't see it as something kind of special or unusual. I'd say probably 80 or 90% of the projects that we deliver as a business, it's done collaboratively. We're not the only company delivering it. We're having to work with at least probably two or three other businesses as well as the client. So for us, it's just what we do.
That's a really positive story. I mean, you hear a lot about some of the difficulties, the challenges, the tensions that, you kind of find around contracting, commercial arrangements, things like that. But it's great to hear that side of the story of it's just one team and you're just trying to solve problems from different angles where you've got different skills basically coming together.
If we wouldn't be where we are as a business, if we hadn't done it, it would have limited what we
Right.
could do. We have,
Interesting.
as an SME, it's being realistic. We can't do everything. So
Mm.
if we can't do everything, we've got to go and find the people that can do the stuff we can't. So let's go and find those businesses, build those relationships and go and deliver the work.
That's a really positive message. It's really nice to hear that.
Mm.
And so you obviously really pro innovation. You really love to innovate. From what I've seen when you're taking me around the premises, and from what I hear from you every time we speak,
Yeah.
you do have a passion for innovation. So how do you balance out ensuring you have the revenue to be sustainable while you're also coming up with all these great new ideas that take investment and time to develop?
I think there's almost two answers to that question. That I think there's one around in terms of that business sustainability, in terms of whilst also being able to innovate. Realistically, it's being able to get the right balance. We have to be sensible and realistic. There's only so much we can do if we're supporting that investment and we're kind of putting the money in ourselves. So we have to balance that kind of eagerness and enthusiasm to be innovative in terms of the technology side of things, um, against making sure we have sufficient commercial income to kind of be able to justify it. But again, finding the right partnerships, finding the right kind of funding and opportunities, the more we can find that, the more we can do. For me, the second bit in that is that innovation isn't only just about coming up with new ideas for technology. So for me, there's almost a level of satisfaction of doing it better next time. It's being able to learn those lessons and do something different next time. And that, whilst people don't call that innovation, that is innovation. Innovation is just not doing the same thing twice. It's coming up with a better way of doing it. And sometimes it's as simple as, and maybe as boring as, we've changed a process internally, which means we're saving a bit of time, or it's a bit easier to do, or we found a different way of doing it, or we've learned a new skill. And I can almost get that kind of satisfy that kind of innovation requirement, not only from coming up with some new technology or new idea, from having a look and going, yeah, you know what, actually, we're doing that much better now compared to the way we used to do it.
You can see the passion in you for that whole kind of concept development, and yeah, I get that it can be really sort of like a basic, yeah, let's find a way of doing something better, but that's obviously an intrinsic sort of characteristic in yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of now curious, who was Jim when you were a kid? Were you this kind of kid that was like, I can, I'm gonna like take apart a Hoover and see if I can fix it better or something?
I suppose my dad's an engineer,
Okay.
my brother's an engineer. I think my mum got bored of engineering discussions over dinner time. But as a child, yeah, I suppose I was that person who was, yeah, probably always building something, making something, learning something new, trying to do something different. Probably it was something creative with my hands, and it was typically, it would have that kind of engineering side of things. So yeah, I was the person that was there building model airplanes, building model rockets, flying them, breaking them, fixing them, making them different next time.
And how do you find running a business vis-a-vis being the actual technical engineer, the developer of the new ideas and the fixing things and the making things work better?
I have a constant tension between wanting to still be an engineer and
Okay.
also run a
Run the
business.
business.
And
Interesting.
depending on which day of the week it is, depends on which tension probably wins. But I suppose realistically, I get a lot of enjoyment and pleasure from doing both of them. And again, I suppose the bit for me is running the business isn't about, for me, it isn't actually about running the business, it's actually about the people,
Hmm.
and it's about growing and developing that team around me. And I get as much kind of satisfaction from working with that team and growing that team and developing those people and seeing them grow and become amazing engineers that I can work with. I get as much satisfaction from that side of things as I do from the, wow, this is a really cool idea. This is a really interesting problem we've just
Mm.
solved. There's some really interesting engineering stuff here.
Yeah. And how do you choose your team? How, like when you think about your team and the people that you've hired, how do you know if someone's right for your business?
I think one of the key things for us is there's a level of technical excellence. So that's really the engineers we have are, I would say, some of the best engineers I know. They're a fantastic team to work with, and I love every day going into the office and working with them. So there's very much that kind of core technical kind of capability. But then again, it's into that kind of ethos of the business and that kind of collaboration, kind of teamwork mentality. So there's also a lot around kind of cultural fit as well, and making sure that they've got the same kind of thought, not the same thought process, but the same kind of ethos and feel, and that they're
Yeah.
going to be the right fit.
Yeah, that makes sense totally. Um, what's the next big thing for Eden Consulting?
That's a really interesting question, and we I struggle with it because, as I've said to you before, we don't almost there are kind of big things, but we don't see them as big because they're our day to day. I think something that we're guilty of is we don't recognize what it is that we actually do. We're just kind of going, well, that's just what we do. That's our kind of day to day. I think one of the key things for us is around that kind of Cockermouth office and growing this kind of
Mm.
capability, and growing this kind of presence here in Cumbria and growing that team. I think that's going to be quite a big thing for the next few years. And we've certainly got some stuff around kind of reach and trying to get to that kind of active deployment. I think that's going to be quite an important thing. Um, but also just, I suppose, it's going into those new sectors and finding those new bits of work,
Mm.
and those new challenges is go and find those and deliver those.
Yeah, yeah. And there are lots of challenges. And I think, that opportunity to look at adapting your solutions to a different sector is such an
Yeah.
exciting opportunity right now. And looking at adjacent sectors to
Yeah.
nuclear as well, where, defense, aerospace, there's so much demand at the moment for novel ideas, for new solutions, new innovations, adapted innovations from other sectors. It sort of seems to be what kind of Innovate UK and all those guys are all asking for.
There's a huge opportunity out there. It feels very different now compared to 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Again, that I suppose that was one of the other reasons for Cumbria. We're sat on the doorstep of Sellafield who have some of the most interesting, biggest challenges that are out there at the minute. And it means there's an opportunity to try and get involved in that and solve some of them.
And just thinking about your Cockermouth office and that whole growth piece, do you sort of look at the business and go, where do I want to be in 5 years' time? What's my sort of growth plan for that? Do you look at it that way, or do you kind of go organic? I'll take my time, or let's see how it goes.
I think realistically, we do a bit of both.
Okay.
And I suppose for me, that's one of the advantages of being an SME is we have that ability to kind of pivot and think about doing things differently if the situation changes. But at the minute, what we're doing at the minute is trying to come up with what our plan for 2030 is and kind of where we want to be as an organization at that point.
Yeah.
And that's about what we've realized is we want to do that because it gives us that kind of direction of travel. So we start thinking, right, that's where we want to be. What do we need to do to be able to get kind of everything in place to be able to achieve that? But it's not doing that and only that. If something happens or changes, then we change and adapt with it. And that's very much been the approach we've taken over the last 17 years is, have a plan, but be prepared to adapt and change to suit the circumstances.
Yeah, and that is the agility of the SME, isn't it? That's the great thing. Yeah,
totally.
absolutely. So who is Jim outside of work? And you've just been telling me about your two sons. So tell us a bit about your family life, your if you've got any kind of time for hobbies or anything that you do outside of work.
I would say it's interesting you asked the question around what did I do as a child. I'm almost still that person now.
Are you?
But I have the excuse of having two children to do it with. So, I'm an engineer at work, and realistically at home, I would say I'm almost an engineer as well. I still do the building stuff, making stuff kind of side of things.
In what respect?
It might be anything from
DIY.
so it might be, I don't know, woodworking, building a set of bookshelves, right the way through to, things with the boys now. They've very much kind of grown an interest in small fighting robots. So
wow.
building robots with them and doing stuff with them. And again, I enjoy doing that because I'm having to learn a whole new set of skills and thoughts. The design challenges in them, it's awful. It's like work, but doing it at home. But I enjoy that challenge and that interest, and I have to learn new stuff to be able to do it.
And how do you cope with the balancing of being in Cumbria, being in Sheffield, and traveling and being away from family? Is that all manageable and not too bad?
It's actually not too bad. It's been pretty busy over the last few months in terms of that kind of final work that we've been doing with Reach. That I've been up here quite a bit, but realistically, it's not too bad. And it's manageable. And again, that balance now, the guys in the Cockermouth office at the minute, Matt and Tom, they're really good. So it's not a case of needing to be here all the time.
Brilliant.
And equally, when I do come up, it's nice to be up here.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. It's been such a great insight into the Eadon Consulting business and, the mind of Jim Hill.
Yeah.
So thanks for participating in the podcast, and we look forward to seeing your growth from here on in.
Cool. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.